Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here, and tonight we're talking Mr. Banks. That's right, that's right. I haven't done one of these solo shows in a little while, just kind of going, not even on camera. I need to get a new webcam, but kind of just going in front of the microphone here and giving you my thoughts on the latest going-ons in the world of Disney. And I've got something pretty big for you guys today, although I'm not entirely sure if everyone, I'm sure everyone in the Disney fan community is not aware of this. I'm sure it's just, select handfuls of people that are really in the know about this. But Shanghai Disneyland. What can you say about Shanghai Disneyland besides, holy crap, they've gone way over budget and it's starting to just filter through to all the other Disney parks and affects them in negative ways. And that's... sadly, that's kind of like Shanghai's reputation before it even opens, is a park that's going severely over budget. I can tell you firsthand how it's affecting me on a personal level as a visitor to Disney parks. I've got tickets to go to Disneyland July 18th through the 20th with Adventure Blue Dude. I am absolutely stoked out of my mind. It's the first time I'm going to Disneyland alone, getting my own hotel and everything like that. I've got a 3-day park hopper. It's going to be fucking amazing. But there's one little caveat, one tiny, tiny, tiny little caveat that is going to, it's not going to ruin the trip by any stretch of the imagination, but it is going to kind of put like a slight damper on things. I'm used to going to Disneyland and going straight until midnight and then hanging out on Main Street until 1 a.m. That is like my ritual. And now Disneyland Park, thanks to Shanghai Disneyland going over budget, is going to be closing at 11 p.m. And then Main Street will be open an extra hour, and Main Street's essentially going to be closing at 12 p.m., which is annoying to me because I love to be one of the geeky guests that are there at like 1 a.m. at the firehouse and just suck in on the last teat of Disneyland goodness before the park officially closes. So I don't know. I mean, downtown Disney's open until 2 a.m., so I guess I'll just get my nighttime fix there. Maybe go to a bar or something. I don't know. It's slightly disappointing, though. It's slightly disappointing. I know it's only an hour of operations difference, but that hour, especially considering that Disneyland gets super dead late at night and you can basically get on anything you want with the exception of like hyperspace and Indiana Jones, it's going to make a little bit of a difference. It's going to make a little bit of a difference, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I am slightly bummed about the hours being cut at Disneyland, but it's okay. It's okay because this ride looks freaking amazing, and I'm going to be kind of upfront with this thing really quick. I am not really in the know when it comes to exactly what Shanghai Disneyland has in store. Like 90% of it is already constructed and ready to go. The park's going to officially open next month. And I'm really I haven't really done my homework. This is the thing that I've been most excited about when it comes to the attraction roster at Shanghai, this TRON coaster, because really, TRON is one of those weird things with Disney where everyone talks about how they should do a TRON ride and they never do. I kind of cite like The Little Mermaid as being another example where from the time that The Little Mermaid was released in theaters to the time that Ariel's Undersea Adventure finally opens in California Adventure of Magic Kingdom, it's like, where the hell is the Little Mermaid ride? So I kind of feel like we've got a similar thing going on here. There's other Disney movies. Like I always hear Mary Poppins as an example of an attraction people would love to see. But TRON is an interesting dynamic. I almost kind of count TRON in kind of like the Cars or the Song of the South category of things that seem a bit unconventional at first to make a theme park attraction out of, but then you realize once you've been on that attraction that it would not work without that IP. I mean, Song of the South is a great example. I mean, who's seen Song of the South? Who in this, like in the Disney millennials, the fan community of millennials out there has actually seen Song of the South? But Splash Mountain like the back of your hand. Splash Mountain is one of the most iconic theme park attractions ever. And it's based off of like freaking Song of the South, which is a movie that Disney wants you to forget. And I feel like Cars Land, after visiting Cars Land for myself last month for the first time, oh my God. I mean, that thing is like the best use of an IP I've ever seen. It's magical. Radiator Springs Racers is right up there with some of my favorite Disney attractions of all time. But I digress. TRON is also another interesting IP because it's got its core group of fans. It's got its core group of people that really love the crap out of the IP. But having said that, I mean, look, I had a fun time in the theater with Tron Legacy with the 3D and the Daft Punk and everything like that. It's a shit movie. It is. It is a shitty movie. It just, the writing on that movie is pretty atrocious. It's filled with plot holes. None of the character motivations make sense. The mythology is overly confusing. I mean, I could just go on. I do not like Tron Legacy as a movie. However, as a 2-hour like 3D theme park experience, it was great. I still have memories of like that 3D and the Daft Punk and everything. It's just not a good story. And I don't really think a theme park attraction needs that in-depth of a narrative. It certainly needs a story. I'm not saying a theme park attraction doesn't need a story, especially with Disney, but it's one of those things where I feel like Tron, Disney doesn't know what to do with the Tron mythology. Disney constantly rewrites the Tron mythology. So I feel like an attraction really would work to Tron's benefit because it fits perfectly into Tomorrowland. It's an obvious fit for Tomorrowland, and it's also just, you've got the light cycles built right in as an awesome ride vehicle. So I'm going to stop yammering on because I'm just yammering. I'm actually going to pull up this POV that I have. As you guys see, this is a loading area, but let's just go ahead and press play, and then I'll be I'll be starting and stopping this video as we go along. So we see the light cycles kind of leaving the station now. By the way, I want to give some credit to Inside the Magic for this screen share that I did not ask their permission to use. So please don't be mad at me. Please don't copyright strike me. Okay, so I love this little opening segment to this Tron ride where we're in this giant hallway. We're on the grid. I freaking love the mirrors. Like, just the use of mirrors in these hallways really, for some reason, it really kind of captivates my attention. I feel like mirrors in general are kind of like a big, not necessarily a selling point of the ride, but I can tell that the Imagineers really strategically placed these mirrors in very clever places to get this effect, where it basically looks like there's more light cycles going than there actually are. At least that's what it looks like to me in the video. It could be very different when I see the effect in person. If I ever do see the effect in person, which I kind of doubt, but oh, that makes me sad. I'm never going to go to Shanghai. But okay, so here it's just kind of like this attraction very much does, and again, I don't necessarily know the story or anything like that when it comes to this attraction, but it very much has a classic layout of a theme park ride. It very much has a classic kind of structure of a theme park ride. I would actually wager to say this ride is very similar to Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Orlando, just because it starts with this little dark ride segment, then it launches you up into a roller coaster segment, and then it ends with a little dark ride segment. I'll get more into that later, but here, like I said, man, I love the way that the tires on the light cycles kind of illuminate in the mirrors. It's just a very cool, very trippy effect, and I imagine it looks awesome in person. So y'all know me. Y'all know how I love my physical effects and my physical props and everything like that. They could have easily made this whole thing a 3D screen, but no, it's like there's actual columns. Those columns are physically there and they're physically lighting up, and I think that just adds a whole level of immersion that you wouldn't get from a Universal attraction if Universal was doing this. I really do think between stuff like this, stuff like Radiator Springs Racers, stuff like Mystic Manor, Disney's back on point. For a couple years there when Harry Potter, Wizarding World of Harry Potter was kind of fresh in people's minds, Universal was almost like, oh my God, is Universal going to overtake Disney? No. No, not if Universal keeps doing their projections crap, keeps doing their simulators, keeps basically making every single fucking ride they do into essentially either a clone of Back to the Future or a clone of Spider-Man. I mean, no, Disney is just, they're breaking new ground once again, like Disney does. So, all right. So here we get kind of the big build-up and then the launch. I really love the aesthetics of this launch, how it goes up and then it goes, I'm assuming, I'm like 90% sure that this little dome structure that they're in right now is the opening, not the opening, the entrance plaza to the attraction. And I think that's super cool, just kind of getting the whole experience of like, as you're just walking up, you see the light cycles. It's a great way to get you pumped for the ride. It's a great design there to kind of have the light cycles go out over the queue and then back into the show building. Just a great design just from a kinetic point of view, and also, like I said, just to get people in line pumped for the thing. All right, so we go back into the show building, and holy crap, this thing looks awesome. From this point forward, it's basically like a Tron orgy of cool shit. But I can't even really point out everything. It's just, but again, it's like that is a physical thing. That's a physical gate that they're going through. I'm sure there's some projections in here. I know that the light cycle that you eventually run into is a projection or a screen or whatever, and this is this kind of goes with what I'm talking about the structure of the ride, where a lot of Disney rides, I feel, will have this arena structure to them, where the main, especially roller coasters, where the main segment of the coaster will take place in, like I said, what I like to call an arena, similar to something like, if you think the dome from Space Mountain, you think like I already used Revenge of the Mummy, that whole thing where you launch up and then you go backwards, that's all in an arena. And this looks like it's no different. It definitely looks like you're going kind of through the queue and you're going through the show building at the beginning, but really the main meat of the attraction is in this arena right here. So let's see, we're zooming through and it's just like, oh my God, folks, like I can't even tell you how excited I was seeing this thing for the first time. I am a pretty big Tron fan. I don't like Legacy, but I love the first film. And so, like I said, Tron's just been one of those things that's been rumored to get an attraction for so long, and now it's finally here and it looks awesome and I'm happy. Okay, but it's like I'm sorry if I feel repetitive. It's like I can't emphasize enough. Like all those lights and stuff, they're all there. It's so cool. And now I think we get into a little bit of projections. I mean, not necessarily. Like I said, all these arrows, all the arches, everything looks like it's physical sets. I could be wrong about that, but they look like they're physical sets. I sound like a broken record when I'm saying that, but yay, I love physical sets. So. Okay. Let's see, going through here, I think we're going to get to the light cycle segment pretty soon. Yeah, right here. See, this is like, I'm totally on board with Disney using screens. I just don't want it to be like Universal, where they use screens and then they use absolutely nothing else. There's no excuse for there not being animatronics within Escape from Gringotts, for example. There's no excuse to have that whole ride be a bunch of starting and stopping and looking at the fucking actors in the movies. It's like, if I wanted to watch the actors in the movies, I would watch the actual movies. All right, so I think this is awesome, this whole finale where you have the light cycle and then the light cycle smashes into its beam. That's obviously an iconic, that's probably the most iconic element of Tron, is a light cycle chase, and it's great that it's kind of like right at the end there. And then I kind of equate this section to the super speed tunnel from Space Mountain, or whatever it is, when you launch back out from the arena and you have your picture taken. And again, I'm sorry, these mirrors are fucking cool. I love the way that these mirrors look. I love the way that they kind of complement the environment, and they kind of just make this whole sort of trippy atmosphere in the ride. It's like, to me, the mirrors are, honest to God, probably one of the big selling points of the design of this ride, just because it's something so simple, you know, like, hey, let's put some mirrors here so that the riders can see themselves reflected. But I don't know, I just get the sense that in the context of the ride, it's a really cool effect, and it's like, it's the simplest thing in the world. It's like fucking, you could go to Home Depot and make this effect practically. But I just think it, you know, I just think it adds to just the, it adds to the atmosphere, the grid. It definitely makes it feel larger than life with all these mirrors everywhere. Like I said, more physical arrows, which I'm happy about. Going back into the loading station. It looks awesome, folks. It really does look awesome. Let me see if I can find a good freeze frame here. That'll work. I mean, like I said, I really need to do some more research into this park. I need to find out what other, I need to find out what other e-tickets they've made in this park that are exclusive to this park. But suffice to say, I mean, I really do think this attraction right here, shit, man, it looks great, and it looks really cool for something that's been in the works for so long, something that, you know, is kind of based on IP that can be hit or miss for some people. And they nailed it. They really did. They got the look of the grid down, but specifically, and like, this will be the last thing I say about this, but it's like they have all the physicality to the grid. It's like the grid would be like one of the few environments in Disney where I would actually be slightly okay with them doing it all as a projection mapping effect, and just basically having a big room with a ton of projection mapping, kind of like how Space Mountain is right now with the hyperspace makeover. But no, they went above and beyond, and they constructed all these physical lighting rigs and all these beams and all these, you know, these gateways and the arrows and everything like that, placed them throughout the ride. And I think it makes a big difference. I think it makes the ride look like something that you can touch out, like you can reach out and touch and feel and explore. And those types of theme park attractions for me are the ones that are going to stand the test of time way more than something like Escape from Gringotts. I hate to harp on Escape to Gringotts, but I don't know. I was really disappointed in Escape to Gringotts, mostly because I had my expectations set so high. But so yeah, I mean, needless to say, I definitely give this thing a positive, glowing review just based on me watching the video and not actually traveling to Shanghai to experience it for myself. I think it looks awesome. I think it looks like kind of a great culmination of the ideas that Armchair Imagineering have had over the years, which is just simply, hey, we should do a Tron ride. And for that reason, it's very cool. It's very cool to see something like this, but to see it finally pay off in a really epic way and with physical sets. And I'm done. I don't really know what else to say besides, like, physical sets. Yay, that makes me a happy Tiki. So shame on Shanghai Disneyland for cutting 3 hours total out of my Disneyland trip coming up in July. Shame on them for that. But overall, I need to do more research into the park, but this looks like a very, very cool attraction. So I guess that's it. I will see you all later, because I don't have a cool Tron line to go out on. I don't even know if there are any iconic Tron lines, really. I don't know. I fight for the user, I guess. But really, I fight for the user in modern context. This sounds like I fight for the heroin addicts. So I'm just going to go out on that. I'm Tron. I fight for the heroin addicts. Have a good night, folks.